So today we're going to go over the setup for barium enemas, and Betsy's again going to help us out here today. So Betsy, if you want to go ahead and start explaining some of the things in our tray.
Okay, so for a double contrast, you're going to need a Super XL enema system. This system comes with already connected tip. I'll just open this one up. And you take it out. You unwrap your bag. And so it already has the tip connected. On that has two tubings. The blue one is for the blue bulb, and that's the one that you put air in the colon. And the second one is for the balloon inflator. And these ones are harder to get on, so bear with me. You really want to make sure it's on good so it doesn't come off during the exam, because if the balloon deflates, you could lose it.
And then it gets real messy and
Gets
awkward.
very messy, and the patient will be apologizing. So this one is for the balloon inflator, and you want to test the balloon. Hold it for a few seconds to make sure that it stays inflated, and you know you have a good balloon. The next thing you want to do is you want to use, I'm keeping this somewhat plain. You want to use your liquid Polybar Plus. This is your thick barium. Shake it good so that's nice and mixed. And you're going to fill the bag up to the 1500 mark. So up to this mark right in here. So it's 1500. We're reading it backwards. But 1500, you want to fill it up to the top, okay? So this is for our double contrast study. You're going to fill the colon, the radiologist is going to fill the colon halfway with the barium, and the patient's going to be rolling around the table to help that get in and filled. And then once you get it halfway, you're going to turn off, you're going to clamp the barium. And then the radiologist is going to start introducing air. They'll give a couple of puffs. Patient's still going to be rolling because you want to get the air to help push the barium to the other side of the colon, all the way to the right side, to where the appendix is, the cecum, and it's going to partly retrograde into the small intestine. Once the barium's there, they will drain, and then they will just continue to introduce air. And it gives you that beautiful study of air with a little bit of barium coating the large intestine.
Now when you say drain,
so when we drain, the patient will be either laying down or standing up. We will unclamp the bag, and we'll try to get as much of the barium back into the bag. So that way the barium is there to coat the large intestine, and then the air is introduced more to give it that double contrast. They're actually very beautiful pictures, I think.
I agree.
For a small single contrast, you're going to use the enema kit. It's an empty bag. It's going to come with a tip, but it does not have a balloon on the end of that. That one, you're just going to toss in the trash. When you take the bag out, be careful because the clamp for the tubing is separate, and you're going to put that on.
Interesting.
And you want to make sure you don't want to leave it down low because you don't want to have to reach under the patient's gown to unclamp it. You want to make sure that it goes up high. You're going to connect the tip. Again, you want to make sure that this is on really good because again, you do not want it to disconnect during the exam because as Anya says, you will have a mess. Then for this one, since it's a single study, you're not going to have this one. You are just going to have the inflator. Again, they're hard to get on, so be patient.
This is another reason why doing the prep before your patient gets here is also kind of important.
Correct. You should have this all set up. You should have your room all set up and ready to go. So you don't fumble with things while your patient's watching you.
Yeah, it doesn't instill the greatest confidence.
Correct. This one's going to be difficult. Okay. Sometimes you have to use your nails. So, again, you want to test your balloon. Always test your balloon. Hold it for a few seconds. Just make sure it stays inflated. And you know you have a good balloon. And then you would clamp it off. Also, we use a green clamp to clamp it off too. It kind of gives you a little bit of backup. So you clamp it off with here, and then you can clamp it again here. Gives you kind of a double security system so that balloon stays inflated. The same with the double contrast, you could do the same thing there. Clamp it with the green along with the balloon inflator clamp. For a single contrast study, we used to have bags that came with powder and we would mix it with water. They don't make those anymore. So depending on what kind of, if the patient might have a rupture somewhere, they might use gastrographin. If they don't and the patient just can't tolerate a double contrast study, we can use the liquid Polybar. We would fill it to the 1,000 mark, and then you would add water to the 2,000 mark. And that dilutes it down for a single contrast study.
All right.
So you want to make sure you have your KY jelly for tipping. You want to make sure you have something that you can squirt it out on. So KY jelly. And then you want to make sure you have gloves too. Make sure that you put lots of KY jelly on the end of the tip. It helps it slide in. Remember, your patient's bottoms are going to be somewhat red and irritable from the contrast, or not the contrast,
The prep.
the prep, the valve prep that they use. So they're going to be sore, so be very gentle. Use that KY jelly. And what else? What else do you want me to talk about?
I guess, what are some other tips to making the exam go smoothly once the patient's on the table?
Okay, so again, explaining to your patient what they're going to be doing. Explaining how you're going to tip them. They're going to lay in the Sims position where they're laying down. Their right leg's going to come over in front. They're going to be a little, what I want to say, cattywampus or crooked. Some people understand. Have them breathe. Breathing instructions are really important. So they're going to take a deep breath in, and you're going to tell them to blow it out, and as they're blowing out, you're going to start inserting the tip. And have them do that a couple of times until you get the tip in to right about here. There's a little notch here, and then you'll inflate the balloon again. When you're inflating the balloon, give them those same breathing instructions. During the exam, you want to have them concentrate on their breathing. Have them take a deep breath in, hold it to the count of 3, and blow it out slowly. And you can talk them through that and help them. It helps getting oxygen to all their organs. It helps them relax. It helps it go through a little bit easier when they can relax. That's my big tip that I can give you into helping your patients relax. I've seen it work on 60-year-old men. I've seen it work on younger generation and much older. Just let them know it's not a fun exam. It's kind of, it doesn't feel that great. I don't like to lie to my patients, say, oh, this is a breeze, you can get through it. You want to warn them. Be honest with them. It's not a fun exam, but you're there to coach them and help them get through their exam.
Perfect. Thank you, Betsy.